welcome to the Seahawks 360 podcast. I'm Candace Higgins,
No, Tino Ganasius.
and we are back to discuss how the Seahawks are apparently only going to win one more game, according to Tino. Tino, how we living?
2 more games. 2 more games.
No. You said seven.
Good.
Stand on
Good.
that.
No, I
But
said 7 at the beginning of the season. I said 8 last week, 8 or 9 last week.
yeah, I'm sure
But
you
that
got.
number's going up. That
Yeah,
number, that number is going up.
sure it is by now.
I I have to say, this team looks. I'm not as much on the bandwagon as some other folks are, but um, they look good right now. They really do. I have that. I don't know. I have that other shoe dropping feeling still, but how do you argue with 21 for 24 for 330 from Sam Darnold? Like, he had one of the best halves a quarterback has ever had in the history of the game,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And there were some plays that Sam Darnold made that, you know, I talked about how in the past when he has weapons, he's great. And he was protected in this game for sure. But there were a couple of plays where, he's moving around in the pocket and getting to his third read, his fourth read, that he wasn't doing a couple years ago, right? He's a different quarterback. I think Sam Darnold is, and Baker Mayfield for that matter, they're a testament to, how many reps quarterbacks actually need
Hmm.
to become great quarterbacks, right? Especially the ones who aren't just uber talented from the very beginning, right? If you're not Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, you need, the peak of quarterbacks is like late 20s, early 30s in a lot of ways. We're lucky enough to have Sam Darnold, kind of in that, in at that point in his career. I think he looked great. This is me. This is my version of me eating crow. I think that he looked great. I do still think we need a running game in order for this team to go as far as we want them to go. But every other phase looks great. Special teams, passing, receiving, the defense as a whole. This is a real team. This is a real team that needs one more thing to click. And if that clicks, this is an NFC contender for sure.
Wow, Tino, welcome to Seahawks Island. Welcome. We're happy to
No, I'm
have
not
you.
on the island. No. Don't put me on that island. I'm not on
You're
that
not on the
island yet.
island still?
I'm not.
That's
I'm
crazy.
no, no. I'm hanging out in the bay in my little sailboat by myself, just chilling, trying to decide whether I want to go meet the people, talk with the people on the island, or if I'm good just kind of hanging out by myself and doing my own thing. I'm not there yet. I'm looking. Okay, I got binoculars. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I
All
ain't on
right,
that
well,
island
just
yet.
know these gates close by week 12. All right, so you don't have a
They
ton of
don't.
time. Think about it
They
fast.
don't close. Why do they close? They don't never close. I'm
They
from
do.
Seattle.
Well,
Okay, they don't close. I'm from Seattle. They
well, you
don't
gotta
close.
stay on that side.
Rainier Rainier Valley, born and bred. Those gates do not close for me.
No,
Those gates are always open.
too late. But no, okay. So I do want to talk a lot about this game. There's so much to highlight. There's really so many dominant performances because the Seahawks were, I mean, outside of the Saints game, which everybody puts a huge asterisk around because of the opponent. I mean, I understand the Commanders aren't the best opponent, but these guys were just in the NFC Championship game, and so it's largely the same team, even if they are, an AARP team, and they outclassed this team in every phase of the game, in my opinion. Seahawks win 38-14. They were up 31-7 at halftime. And to your point, Tino, Sam Darnold had a historical start, 16 for 16, I think, going into halftime, had not had an incompletion. His first incompletion, I think, was a 17th, which tied him for the franchise record for the most consecutive quarterback, most consecutive completions in a game. Can't remember who it. I think I want to say Warren Moon or someone. I can't remember exactly who it tied him with. I'm forgetting. But anywho, big deal. JSN still unstoppable. Had like 100 and I think he finished this game with
129, 8 for
One
120.
129.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, absolute monster. And this time they were trying to bracket some coverage to him. They were trying, they weren't consistent with it all game, but even then, JSN was just unguardable.
He's on pace for 2,000 yards.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
he is on pace for 2,000 yards, and he looks like he's not running, right? He's got these little short jabby steps. He doesn't. He does not. It's so weird because you watch as a Seahawks fan, you watch DK Metcalf over the years, right? Big, physical, sub 4.3 speed, like just specimen, right? And you expect him to put up numbers like this. And JSN is like the opposite type of athlete, smaller, like short legs, kind of, kind of the little steps, and he's putting up an MVP type season. He's been phenomenal. Can I say real quick too? I think obviously JSN had a great game. Defense played well. Darnold, is an MVP candidate at this point in time. But what made me happy, what made my Seahawks heart happy, was Cody White showing up, right, with that long touchdown. Torrey Horton, 2 touchdowns. Elijah Arroyo with a touchdown. Like when you start getting contributions from rookies and from players that were on the practice squad like that, that's when you can start dreaming about other things, right? This
Mhm.
the depth of this team, the depth of the secondary. Secondary held up enough to win over these past few games, and we saw what our first team secondary can do. Spoon was out of control. Eamon Wari is Cam Chancellor again.
Yeah, we got to
When
figure
he we got I know we're gonna talk about it down the road too tonight, but man, that play where they tried to throw a little bubble screen and he blew the blocker up directly into the receiver. I'm
and
like,
tackled them
whoo,
both. Tackled them both.
whoo.
A 2-for-1 tackle.
He's
Man, that's
he's
special
just
stuff.
he's a different he's a different animal, right? There's a reason why they gave up what they did to get him. It was just those are the things, like, not that I want to take Darnold for granted because it was a historic performance, right? But Darnold and JSN are holding it down. We know that. But to get the contributions that they did from the others, to see Spoon show up, to see Tyrese Knight show up and lead the team in tackles when Ernest Jones got hurt, those kinds of things, that's what winning teams do, right? That kind of depth is what winning teams have. I just I was incredibly impressed by so many players in this game. I still say they need a running game to go deep into the playoffs, but outside of that, it's fun. As a Seahawks fan, it was fun. It was sad to see Jaden Daniels go down like that, right? And you could see the heartbreak on all of the commanders' faces, right? The coach, Dan Quinn, felt horrible.
He should.
And the team's just downtrodden at this point.
Yeah. It's over. I think it was always, if they lost this game, it was always going to be over for them. I think
Right.
desperation was probably their main advantage going in because I don't think on paper they really had a lot. But desperation can get you far. I mean, we just saw the Packers
Right.
lose to the Panthers. It's any given Sunday, right? And so
Right.
um there really are a lot of things to shine a light on. But I do want to go back to your point about the running game. I'll be honest, maybe I'm alone. Maybe it's just the eye test thing. To me, they have looked like they have improved in that regard, in that when they really want to run the ball, especially early in that game, like that first quarter, running game looked fantastic, honestly. They were able to get 6 yards, 7 yards, close to a first down early on. I think as the game wore on and as the Seahawks began to try to salt the game away, and the Commanders were pretty much expecting the Seahawks to do that, essentially in garbage time, that's when the inefficiency really showed up. That's when the negative plays really showed up. To me, the timing of when those things happen, they matter. And I would expect that to be the case when they're going to face, they're going to sell out to stop the run, knowing that their only chance at winning this game is to get the ball back and to force the Seahawks to pass, right?
Right.
Which Kubiak made the mistake of doing in the previous game against the Texans. Just instead of running into those stacked boxes, he just went pass, pass, pass instead of starting the game away. Ultimately, Sam Darnold made mistakes, caught up with them. So I actually like seeing them just stick with it. You know what I mean? Like just be comfortable with the fact that they're going to sell out to stop the run, that it's probably going to be effective, that you might have some extra punts, but that ultimately that's going to be the best way to win versus just pass, 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 and
Mhm.
like shooting yourself in the foot. So I was actually I was fine. In fact, I would say pretty pleased overall with how the run game went, given the context of the situation. I understand the numbers don't look good on paper, with them averaging what 3.7 to carry. I get that.
3.7, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
mean that's on
this
paper.
de- this Commanders defense is boo boo.
Yeah, it is.
It's not.
Probably any
It
worse.
is, and it's well, it's got some names, but it's old,
Hmm.
and it's names that have washed up, right? So, you see Deron Payne, you're like, okay, first round pick, right? Years ago out of Alabama. You see Javon Kinlaw, first round pick of the Niners, right? Another D tackle um, out of South Carolina. Like those are two big names. Kinlaw's moved from to a bunch of teams, right?
Hmm.
And Payne has been very good. Eddie Goldman, another D tackle that's bounced around with the Bears for a long time, right? Sheldon Day, same thing. Bobby Wagner is smart, but he's not half of the linebacker he was with the Seahawks in his prime, right? He's slow.
Yes.
Frankie Louvu, I love Frankie Louvu as a player. I think Frankie Louvu is bad, right? But he's
Bad.
not no bad like you bad, that kind of
Yeah.
bad.
I
But
mean, I
he's
know that's what
not.
you said, but I'm not sure that's what showed up on the film.
No, but he's a really really good. He's a good edge. He's nasty. He's a good edge. He doesn't have the same explosion that some other guys do, but he's a very good football player, right? Secondary, Marshawn Lattimore is a name. He's not the all pro he used to be,
Hmm.
right? And you saw that in this game.
Yeah.
Trey Amos, it was a first round pick, but he's a rookie. Sainer still is one of the best slot corners in the game, right? Sainer still is very, very good. Darnell Savage is a first round cast off of the Packers, right? This
Hmm.
defense is not what it didn't surprise me that the Seahawks scored as many points as they did because the defense isn't that good. And I think that the Commanders have made some very poor personnel decisions, and I think they're old, and I think the age is showing up, and they counted on Jaden Daniels being such a superstar, right, that they could surround him with experience and that they would win that way. And I don't think any of that is holding up. So I'm not again, Darnold had a great game. JSN did his thing. Defense looked great. Commanders are not a good gauge for me. This isn't like playing the Buccaneers where they're playing a team that's kind of their equal and we get to see what they're all about. I would expect the Seahawks. No, I picked the Commanders to win because I thought that Jaden Daniels was going to show up and I thought that he would play really well and match some of the offensive numbers. And I certainly didn't expect Darnold to play the way he did. Um, Maybe I should now. Maybe I should go into the next game thinking that Darnold is an elite quarterback. Maybe it's time to start thinking about him that way. I don't know. I'm going to be the last guy probably kicking and screaming to believe in Sam Darnold in that way. But the
You,
Commanders just the Commanders were not a worthy opponent last night. They just weren't.
you'll be in good company in that regard. But I'll say a few things to your points. One about your point about the Commanders not being a litmus test. Honestly, I kept saying it all preseason. That's why I'm so high on this team. The schedule is an easy schedule. The NFC West looks like the best division in football, in part, not because they're not talented, but because of who they're playing. You weren't going to have a lot of opportunities for litmus tests outside of your division. Your division, really, that those were going to be the true measuring sticks as to who this team was going to be and what they really are. That still stands to be true. The Bucs game was the closest you were going to get, and we thought preseason that the Commanders would be that too. It became pretty obvious early into the season, though, that that would not necessarily be the case again unless the desperation came out. But I want to go back to your point about the personnel on the Commanders defense, and I kind of want to see our 360, so I want to go outside the box a little bit. Um, yes, the personnel is old. I would argue coaching was one of the biggest differences in that game. Going back to the decision when they fired Pete Carroll, it was firing when they fired Pete Carroll, and Dan Quinn was available. They interviewed him.
Yep.
They interviewed Mike Mc. They could have just went in the Dan Quinn direction because it's comfortable. It's another iteration of Pete. Keeps that same continuity and culture if that's what you're trying to get it. But you can also say it's a fresh start to some extent. But John Snyder, I want to give him his flowers for this. Decided to go outside of what they had been doing, despite the fact that most people were just frustrated with Pete Carroll's coaching ability, not his culture or any of the other great qualities that he has as a coach and as a leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was clear. Yeah, personnel is old. I would also argue that they're consistently, just like the Pete Carroll defense, is put in poor positions. Why is Bobby Wagner playing 100% of the snaps? We've seen this time and time again. The Rams were able to use Bobby in a way that hid his deficiencies. But Dan Quinn still continues to not do that. They've still got personnel that doesn't match their identity and what they're doing. You know, they got Marshall and Lattimore, a man cover corner, and then they're running a lot of zone stuff that make a lot of sense. Dan Quinn wants to do a lot of zone, but they got some man personnel. It's very all over the place that you could even argue. Many people will argue that the coaching decisions to even have Jaden Daniels the game at that point was a humongous, given the
Yes.
context of Jaden Daniels' injury history, literally just
Yes.
coming off injury that game, that it was coaching malpractice to even have Jaden Daniels in that game. And it really is unfortunate for him because I mean, he was probably the most entertaining part about that game for the Washington Commanders. And he was coming off injury and he still looked spry and explosive and athletic. And he
He's
was
a superstar.
offense.
He's
Yeah,
a superstar.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so anyway, I just wanted to give John Snyder his props because it's almost like a clear division in the role where had he chose to go with what was comfortable, I believe the Seahawks would still be in the same position they were, you know, 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely he did. They changed it up, right? They decided they were going to go in a different direction, and the game and I wouldn't say the game has passed Dan Quinn by, but I don't think Dan Quinn is a good. Commanders did well last year, right? But I don't think he's a great coach, right? I don't think he's a Super Bowl winning type head coach. And to your point, there's some, and he's head of the defense, right? He's a defensive coach, a defensive mind, and when your personnel doesn't match the scheme, that's whoever's making those decisions are making the wrong decisions. You're at an NFL level. Like if we can match scheme to personnel, they should darn well be able to do it, right? So no, I think we're lucky. We have some look, Coach McDonald, Sam Darnold, right? Even JSN to a certain extent, they're kind of boring. They're not they're not super exciting, interviews or people, but they're really good. And I think that's what's interesting is I like your point about Pete and about Dan Quinn because I love Pete. As a
Yeah.
person, I think Pete is just is a phenomenal dude and a phenomenal leader. And I say it time and time again, so appreciative of what he brought to the Seahawks organization, the Super Bowl, all that.
Yep.
Would I rather listen to Pete and see him on the sidelines and all those things? Yeah, I would rather him than Coach McDonald. Coach McDonald's boring, but this team is really good and they're disciplined and they're winning, right? Sam Darnold is boring, but Sam Darnold can now, unlike when he was younger, get through, 3, 4 progressions quickly and with his feet moving in the pocket and avoid the rush and make the right decision, right? This offensive line is protecting him. And he's playing at a boring but an MVP level. So I think it's interesting your point about what the fork in the road with Dan Quinn one way, Mike McDonald the other way, and the fact that we chose to go the unknown has led us to a 6-2 record, tied for the best record in I believe in the NFC.
Yes.
and first and tied for first in the NFC West. Um, yeah, I think we need to talk about this defense because I that's the part of this team that I love watching the most. Honestly, like my love for this defense, the way they're playing, some of the personalities. Right, Leonard Williams is nuts. Leonard Williams is off his rocker. Right,
Yeah.
the way he was wagging his tongue.
Like,
They're talking about him
epic,
spearfishing. I'm
epic.
like, man, his hairdo, even all of it, he's just crazy. But
Yeah.
he is, to your point last podcast, the attention that he attracts on that line is crazy, and it frees up everyone else to do their job. And
Yep.
then, as I mentioned earlier, man, seeing Spoon and Eamon Wari out there, they're intimidating, boy.
It's a lot of
They're
fun.
them dudes are nasty. Witherspoon, when he blitzed out of the slot, man, he was a heat-seeking missile. I don't know. This is to me this is the best defense in the NFL. I understand the Broncos have probably their better edge play. I
Yep.
understand that Sertan is the best corner in football, right? They have a great defense. But this iteration of the Seahawks defense has the potential, I think, to be better at all three levels, right? I think the fact that they have so much talent at each level is what sets them apart. And if they're going to make a deep playoff run, it's going to be because this defense gets even better than it is right now. But this defense is phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Absolutely. I want to make a point about your point about the boringness on the offense and
Mhm.
how the defense, they've got the personality, they've got the psychos. Can I be honest? I think that's one of the best ways to build a football team. I think you want your wide receivers humble. I think you want your quarterback not to have too much of an ego.
Wait. Tell me who's a humble wide receiver that's been great. Name
JSN.
one.
But I
Okay, before
JSN.
JSN. Before JSN, name one.
I'm on Ron St. Brown. I don't think Justin Jefferson has a crazy ego. He's just a
Oh,
little more flashy.
Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, them guys are divas.
But
I
look
think
at
the point is
JSN
that
right now.
JSN is different. I think JSN is different. That's the point, is that those guys are always divas and JSN is not. That's the interesting part.
I think in the modern football, that's the ideal way to build your team. It's not always gonna be that way, obviously.
I don't
But
personally, I don't care. The defensive part, yes. I think the defense has to be snarling and foaming at the mouth and crazy. That's just that by definition, that's what defense is, right? Is
I think
attacking.
yeah, you need attack
But the
dog.
offense, but the
If your
offense,
offense can
I
drive
don't care. I don't care how you act. I don't care how you act. If you can get open, you can get open. No matter to me. You say whatever you want. You
I
act a
think
fool. It
I
does not
think
matter to
for
me.
I think we were talking about building the culture of the whole locker room, right? I'm not just talking about on the field play. I'm talking about the culture of the whole locker room. And everybody keeps talking about, I've been seeing the national media, people talk about this team. We're talking about how balanced it is. I think that's part of it. I'm just gonna be honest, especially on the back of what was a lot of issues with DK and Gino. I think it's refreshing to have the opposite. And I think I think it almost complements itself, where you've got the absolute psycho. I mean, Ernest Jones psycho. We're gonna talk about him. Really hope he's okay. There hasn't been any crazy news come out. Mike McDonald did say it's not a season-ending injury. I didn't really completely believe him at first because he's been really wrong about these things before. But no, nothing
Mm,
has come out. I think typically you'd hear something by now if it was like our worst fears. So that's optimistic.
mhm,
We'll take it. But he's gonna be missed. But that dude is crazy, man. Like that dude, even Reek is he's certainly something else. But I think your personality, your defense needs that swag. It needs that, like you said, the Devin Witherspoon and the Nick Eamon Wari, like those, like you said, those two together. Your D line just being attack dogs, like that.
mhm,
That's to me, that's how you build a team, a sustainable team that can be
mhm.
good over a longer period of time than maybe like a one-off, run and then done.
Right. the I don't know. I think the offense can take on different. I think the defense is more has to be more defined, right? I think the personality of a defense, a great defense, has to be more is a little bit more pigeonholed. I think an offense can be any number of different things, right? It just so happens that I think the personalities on this offense are kind of just straight down the middle. Like maybe Barner's a little bit nuts
He is.
sometimes,
He's definitely
but he,
nuts.
but like Canine and Charbonnet, like they don't. I'm not trying to kick it with them dudes, even if I knew them. They don't seem like the kick it with you kind of like type. Charbonnet seems like he's showing up in some acid wash jeans and a mock turtleneck. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys are they're kind of boring. I
I think the Chiefs' offense is the same way. Except Patrick Mahomes is just Patrick Mahomes. His play speaks for
Mahomes
itself.
a
Personality
Mahomes a
wise,
dork. Mahomes
yeah,
a dork.
very much so. So I don't know. I think it. I think that, and I think in the more modern NFL, I think you'll see that trend. In the past, you're correct. Our receivers had to have attitude, and quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, I just think I'm wondering. It was something to monitor. I'm just wondering if this is going to become more so how successful teams build themselves out. Because I
I
don't
think
even
there's
see a lot
more
of
than one.
personality with the Rams on their offense. I mean, Matt
I
Stafford is
think
just
Nakua. I think Nakua has the way that he plays and carries himself is a personality, right? Because he's so physical. I think Nakua has a ton of personality. Stafford boring. Stafford boring. Stafford grew up with Clayton Kershaw. They boring. I'm not. I'm good with them. I'm good with them.
but
And
yeah,
I don't know enough about Kyron Williams, but no, I don't. Yeah, I
just
for
think about it,
me,
man. Keep thinking about it. I think you'll find them right. I think you'll find it. The more you
no.
think about it, just sizzle on it. Audience, sizzle on it. Think
Now,
about it. I got a theory.
I would prefer. Okay, personally, I like the attitude more. I don't like the boring. I'll take their play, right? I love the fact that they're playing as well as they are, but I don't know. Like Gary Payton's my favorite basket. Gary Payton and Michael Jordan, my two favorite basketball players of all time. That should say something, right? Like I like that. I like that nastiness, right, on both sides of the ball. I miss that about DK, and I thought the Seahawks would miss that as well, and they don't on the offensive end.
No, I thought
Probably
they
because he
would miss it.
Probably because now they can run different routes with different receivers. They don't have to have two out of the nine routes that DK can run. Do you have
But
comments?
yeah,
Do you
but
have
yeah,
comments on Torrey Horton? Torrey Horton looked good.
Torrey Horton did look good. To me, it was a bounce back game. I was pretty disappointed in his opportunities with the Texans. I feel like he got some chances, and I just felt like he couldn't come down with the ball. Now, one was overthrown for sure, so it's not all on him. But I just feel like there were some balls that he really could have had that he didn't catch. But I will say, I mean, Texans defense and Commanders defense, they ain't even close to the same.
They
So
different, right?
there is that. They are different. I still have concerns about if you're just depending on your guys like Arroyo, or you're just depending on your guys like Torrey Horton, in those big moments, I'm not really sure against more sticky defense or literally any real defense that they
I
can
think
step
Yeah,
up.
I
But
think you want them to be supplemental pieces in their
yeah,
rookie year, not primary pieces, right? They're
right,
very good supplemental pieces.
yes,
If Cup is healthy, then Horton is able to show out because they're not focused on him.
yeah,
And I will say though, like this is two games now where Arroyo has popped. This is two games where his athleticism and his ability has shown up for the Seahawks in a row. And I like that. I still don't know exactly what I think of him. I know he's talented, but he's shown up now two games in a row. His athleticism at the tight end position has been to the benefit of the Seahawks offense two games in a row now. I like it. It's
I like
cool.
it too. I mean, his traits to me have been obvious all season. Honestly, like the traits do pop. Like they,
He can run. He can run. He can catch. Like, and he's a big dude.
yeah, it's been that way all season. So I'm not gonna say I see any
But it's
progression. The
showing up.
traits were clear.
But it's showing up though on the field is the thing. We knew he was athletic coming in. What I'm saying is he's making an impact on the game now. It's not just we know he's athletic. When is he going to be there? It's he made a big catch last week, right? He had a touchdown this week. We're
Mhm.
seeing it actually like in practice. meaning on the field. Um, you got anything else with this defense?
Yeah, I
Did you
mean,
like Reek Woolen? Being forced into action and then actually playing well
yeah,
was kind of cool.
he had himself a game. I mean, I want Reek on this team, and I really don't want to trade him. I think they regret it. I I get like you know he's struggled, but I just think the upside, especially when you get to some crucial situations, I love to have him as an option. You know what I mean? Like there are just
Mhm.
some matchups you don't know what you're gonna get. So shout out to Rick Woolen. I don't know if he's really got his job back or not, but it was really cool to see. I just want to speak a little bit more on how impressed I am with Eamon Rory because I didn't know what to expect. I knew he had the traits, but you just don't know
Ooh.
with a guy like that who was, this chess piece, right? And we knew he was probably going to be in good hands with Mike McDonald, but I mean, he picks up things so fast. I'm impressed with. I'm sure there are plenty of things he misses,
Yep.
but he just, even with the
When you
things
put
he's mastered, it's
six, look, 6'2", 220, 225, 4'4", you put all that stuff together and you're like, man, that's a beast. But when that player also has elite instincts,
yes,
right? When his reaction time and his football IQ are also elite,
yep,
now you're talking about an all pro. Now you're talking about a player who has a tremendous impact on the game, right? It's not just the athleticism. There are plenty of like crazy athletes like that in the NFL, right? There's a ton of guys who have come into the NFL with some of those numbers. Not always, but there are. His instincts are what set him apart. Again, that play, that bubble screen, man, that was that's all you need to see to know who he is. Was
I
that
agree.
one play right there? And I think we're going to start seeing more. But the other cool thing is now you've got him and Spoon are you have so much flexibility and ways to disguise what's going on because they can both be incredibly effective out of the slot, right?
Mhm.
And now you have multiple chess pieces that can move around because even Warrior can show in the slot and move to safety, eventually move to linebacker a little bit, right? When lining up in the slot. And Spoon, you don't know whether he's going to be lined up on your slot receiver on the outside, based on depending on what personnel, what other personnel they have out there. I don't know. Mike McDonald's got to be over the moon with those two. Um, with Woolen, I think so. Seahawks are now 6-2. If the Seahawks were 5-3, and we believe that they might make the playoffs, and we believe that they weren't poised to make a run like I was and still sort kind of am. I don't know. Like I said, sailboat looking at the island. I think you trade him if you don't think you can make a legitimate run. But the Seahawks obviously believe they can make a legitimate run. And so you don't, to your point, you don't make a trade like that if you're the Seahawks for the sake of next year. If you have a player who is potentially very important and has such a clear high incredibly high upside, right? If Woolen is focused and he's thinking about his money and he's like playing at 95% of Reek Woolen's talent, and you've got those other guys in the secondary, now you've got maybe the best secondary in football.
Yeah,
And if you think you can win in the playoffs and make a deep run, you don't give up that kind of piece. You don't give up that kind of asset. You just don't. You let it play out. And I
yep,
think that's where we're at. 6-2, tied for the best record in NFC, tied for the lead in the NFC West. You're not in a position to deal away assets now. You're in a position to acquire more assets,
yes,
like
for sure.
like like a right guard.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I mean, you gotta give up something. So I'm interested to see how the
Draft
Seahawks
picks.
balance this aspect of knowing you got to give up something in order to get some players in here. So I'm wondering
You
if
give
they'll
up
get
pick.
anything done.
You do what the Eagles did. The Eagles just went out and got Jalen Phillips, the DN from Miami,
Yeah,
right? Former first round pick. Dude can play. They went out and that's the thing. You look at the Eagles are giving up thirds, fourths. When they identify a guy or a hole, they go and fix it, right? And that's that. Then they're hyper aggressive with doing that. That's what I want to see the Seahawks do with their offensive line. And not to say that the offensive line is playing poorly. Bradford is. The rest of the line is playing pretty well.
Bradford had a
But I
good
do,
game, but the defense is bad. So there's that.
yeah. But he also made a look like he made a tackle on Charbonnet on one play though.
I
That
think that
was
was the game
ugly.
before. That was his game before. But
No,
no,
I
he
think it was
definitely
this.
had.
I think it was this game. It was
I haven't
bad.
seen that one. I missed that one. If so, I definitely missed that one. But I do want to shout out one more thing with the defense, and that is again just the scheming and the planning, especially with this defensive line. One thing I noticed is that even though Jaden Daniels did a ton of scrambling, I think he had to go through pretty extreme measures to get the yards he got because you saw the defense almost trap him a few times where like they'll run a stunt or a game and they'll gain and they'll look like there's an open lane and so Jaden Daniels will take off, especially up the middle. I remember seeing this a couple times and then somebody would loop back around and just trap him in there. Um, that's the kind of stuff that really excites me about what this team is, especially because I just got this feeling that Mike McDonald's been holding back quite a bit of his playbook. Like I have this sense that from a
You waiting for
defensive
the
perspective,
Rams?
yes, defensive perspective, I think they've been holding back quite a bit. I
Yep.
also think that the offense has to some extent. They played way more 11 personnel on a day where they had like almost all of their wide receivers injured, which was a
Yep.
great tendency change up. And so I appreciate that there's still so much left to unravel for this team in general. Like you don't, I mean, the team is doing well, but they don't feel like they've hit like their top
Mm-mm.
peak performance yet. Right, to your point that the run game could be better. Even though I'm pleased with the progress, it's still obviously with the numbers could be better. They're just and they're improving enough for me that I feel like I'd rather them be here right now. Like you
Right.
said, the Rams game
The
is coming up.
Look, the D line has been obviously the defense. It starts with the D line, but and Murphy has been good, not great.
I
But
think it's
like
great.
Murphy, but he has another level to get to. Is his talent says that he can get to a different level. Our the edge play, Wosu has sacks, but we haven't seen real dominant play from these edges yet. We've seen good play, right? We've seen them be able to stop the run, be stout, get some pressure, but we haven't seen anything dominant from Hall or Nwosu or Mafe. I guess my point is that the one player on that D line that I think has been dominant clearly is Leonard Williams, but the other players have more to give, right? There's more that they can do to be even better, and I think that the to your point, the scheme and some of the stunts and things that Coach McDonald likes to do, I think he's holding a lot of it back. Why use it if you don't have to,
Yep.
right? If you're blowing teams out, stay vanilla.
Yep.
Keep it in your pocket.
Yep.
The Rams would do the same thing, but the reality is, those two games are going to be what determines, I think, the fate of this team this year. Save it. You don't need to show anything yet.
Completely agree.
Not when you're playing this well. Not when you're
Completely
playing
agree.
this well.
If there's
Mm-hmm.
anybody that's even like a Cooper Cup, if there's anybody that's questionable to me going into this Cardinals game this next week, wait for the Rams. I mean, that's just where I'm at. I mean, not to say that the Cardinals can't be spoiler, but just this is going to come down to the Rams game, and so it's hard, at least for me as a fan, not to look ahead a little bit because, like you said, that's the season. How those Rams games go, those teams
The,
are neck and neck.
the Cardinals Now the Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, they actually are a legitimate team. They're winning 27-10 over the Cowboys right now. 27-16 now. Marvin
27.
Harrison Jr. is showing up. It's 27-16 over the Cowboys in Dallas.
Well, the Cowboys
I
have
guess
the defense is terrible in Dallas, though. So
yes,
the
but
Cardinals
Brissett has been
are solid.
balling the past. Brissett's been balling the past couple games. I guess what I'm saying is the Cardinals are playing better with Brissett at quarterback than they were with Kyler Murray at quarterback.
Yes,
And I agree that this season goes through the Rams, but I would not take this Cardinals team for granted the way that I think we could have a couple of weeks ago. I do think that they are a threat, and the Seahawks are going to be looking ahead. I do think it's natural to look ahead to those Rams games.
Yeah, like I said, they can definitely play spoilers. So I won't pretend that they won't. Um, I just think I know that Kyler Murray has a lot of defenses. He's as a quarterback, obviously, because he's been benched right now. But I also think that for some reason, maybe it's just me in my head. I think that the Seahawks defense can take on a Jacoby Brissett if they can take on a
Yes,
Kyler Murray. I mean,
yes.
it's just not the
And they
same.
could take on and they could take on anybody right now.
Yeah,
It's not. It's not. I think they'll shut the Cardinals down, right? I think they're not. Here's the cool thing about this defense too. For me, I going in like I like what they call him, Bill, the running back for the Commanders. I
yeah,
like him. I think he's a good back, and he's right. He's had some good games. I had no worries about the Seahawks giving up any sort of anything on the ground to the Commanders. And they don't need to play eight guys in a box or anything. I just had no worries about it. I started someone else over him in fantasy at running back because I was like, he ain't running against the Hawks. I don't want to root for him either, but he ain't running. The Hawks' run defense allows them to do so much in the pass game, and I think that that goes with this against the Cardinals too. Cardinals don't have a great running game, and their running backs are hurt. Benson's out. Connor's out for the season, right? They're down to their third and fourth string. Bam, some dude named Bam Knight is running tonight. And the Seahawks can play these like boring vanilla boxes against the Cardinals and load up against the passing game in Brissett because they're so confident that that this D line and the linebackers can shut the running game down. Now, if Jones is hurt, maybe I'm 10% less confident.
yeah.
I
I
go
agree.
from 100% to 90%,
Yeah.
but it's it's a lot easier to play defense when you're not worried about whether they can run the ball or not, right? And it's not because of who they're playing; it's because this defense is that good. They don't allow any running game to get off,
Yes.
which is cool.
One last thing, and we'll wrap us up here. But
Hmm.
in the past, the teams have been you. I still think litmus tests matter in terms of being battle tested. But to your point about how fundamentally sound they are and how that translates from team to team to team, with the exception of the Bucks, it took a lot to get to that point, injury wise, right?
Hmm.
And game planning wise, right? In general, even though they're playing this cupcake schedule for sure, but even if they had a harder schedule, like you said, I put them up against most folks in this league. They're just not a team I could think of that I'm just like, absolutely not. They'd run over the Seahawks, and there's not been any team that I can remember since LOB that you can really say that. And I'm just that to me, that's what I'm most proud of about this team. That I think they can compete with any and everybody. The outcome, be darned. But I've just never felt like they're outranked. I never not felt like there's a team that can outrank them before. And
Maybe the Eagles. Maybe the Eagles.
I
That's
think they
that's
can.
the only team.
I think they can do it. I think they go tit for tat, right? Like I'm not going to say the Eagles are clearly above because the Eagles have got their issues too, have all
Right.
season. I
Right.
think they can go tit for tat. I know they can go blow for blow. Who wins? Ultimately, I'm not. I don't know if I put the money on it, but that's just the excuse me, the concept like it wouldn't be game over
Right.
automatically. To me, that's a
You're
big
right.
thing.
You're right. It's LOB was the last time you could actually be confident that this team going into any game against any other team had a legitimate shot to win the game, right? Every other year it's been, well, they're playing, I don't know, the Niners. They about to lose.
Right.
You didn't want to admit that, but they about to lose. You
Yeah.
already knew. You
Right.
already knew. You're like, man, if you had truth serum and somebody was like, all right, you gonna tell me the truth, it would come out. You'd be like, yeah, I already know they lost, right? Against a lot of teams, it was that way.
Yeah.
I guess they won in Detroit, but like, yeah. And this team, to me, that's what a good defense does.
Yeah,
It's what a great defense
a great
does. A
defense.
great defense keeps you in the game.
Yes,
Keeps
sir.
you in the game. And the fact that Darnold and JSN have elevated their games to the point they're at says that the Seahawks had not just a puncher's chance. The Seahawks are the equal in a one game situation with any other team.
Yep.
Now, other circumstances, you go to Buffalo, you're probably going to lose, right? You're going to, I don't know, Kansas City,
I know.
one of those types of teams. If you're going to their stadium, there's a good chance that, but you still have a chance.
You have a chance.
You have a
With
chance.
that
That's the difference.
defense, with that defense, you got a chance.
Yep. Stay
Absolutely.
healthy. Just stay healthy.
Stay, yeah, health will be big. We'll continue to wait for updates with Ernest Jones and see what's going on with him in that regard. I will take no news as good news, at least relatively speaking, based on how
Right.
bad that injury did look. Uh, Man, for me,
Look,
I
rest,
know. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say rest Ernest Jones.
Yeah,
If he Now they said he might be out a couple weeks. If they have any thoughts of bringing him back, they don't need him against the Cardinals. Cardinals can't run the ball. You got linebackers that can run and cover a little bit with Thomas and Knight. Like, just let him rest and be ready to take on the Rams. Let him rest. Let him rest.
definitely.
I love me some Ernest Jones, boy.
I'm starting to think about the name for the defense, and I really like their mob thing, like mission over bullshit. I don't cuss, but like what I'm saying? I love it. I really do. It to me, I think I named this thing with mob defense, mob dominance. I like that name from LOB to MOB. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I'm feeling the mob. I'm feeling the mob ties. Mob something. I'm feeling it. I'm there.
Let me marinate on that one.
They need a name.
Let me marinate on Let me marinate on that one.
That's the one the team came up with. I feel like it fits.
Hey, their name should be winner. Their name should be number one defense in the NFL. That's what I care. That's what I care about.
We need
I
a
don't
name.
know.
Come on. It's Seattle. We need a name. It matters. Apparently, the LOB had like that. They had a name before they went on like their run. Like they were known as the LOB before they
Right.
actually took off. You know what I mean?
The Brandon Browner years.
Yeah.
They
So
already had it.
so now is the time. I think they're good enough. So be thinking on that, Tino. I say mob dominance. Let's go.
All right. Like I said, let me marinate on that for a little bit. We'll
All right,
see.
touche.
We will see.
In the meantime, Tino, tell the people where they can find you. Let's get us on up out of here.
Right now you can find me in Bend, Oregon, doing some work training in the hotel room. Uh, 20 blue sky, lots of baseball, lots of and fantasy baseball stuff for next year. Haven't told my database on and on, same thing.
All right. Be sure to follow us on Seahawks. That's it. We're out. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.